I want to educate you on you. I want to empower you in times of adversity, and I want to equip you to heal yourself because you can. Welcome to season 1 of my podcast, Unshrinkable. Hi, I'm Emily Katz. My guest and I are here to help you find what works for you beyond traditional therapy and mainstream meds. Hello, everyone. I am super excited to introduce my podcast, Unshrinkable. It is a project that kind of happened by itself and emerged and evolved naturally as I was searching for guest experts for my programs to come and share about their self-healing journeys, and more specifically to teach me and my clients about unique modalities that they have found to be effective for them and their clients. Now, each episode on this podcast will therefore be of me interviewing a guest who is either a coach, a healer, a shaman, or embodied practitioner of some sort. And they will be sharing with us what they do and how it works and how they got there. It's designed to not only educate us about alternative holistic therapies and modalities available in the world today, but also to empower us to become our own healers, our own advocates, our own support system and guides, and also to equip us. I have asked each guest to share either a tip or an exercise that we can implement immediately at the end of every episode. So with that, I have already recorded nearly all the episodes for season 1. I'm very excited to share everything with you. Each week I will share another episode, but this first episode will be introducing me and my work because I too have my own approach and modality for self-healing. So let's begin. To those of you meeting me for the first time, hi, I'm Emily. I'm an organizational consultant on a mission to help bridge a very big gap in the mental health industry. I have a master's in organizational behavior and development. I'm a former teaching assistant for positive psychology and research assistant for psychophysiology labs. I've developed the MetaTherapy Model, or MTM, which empowers people to self-heal and solve their personal life problems. I launched my consulting services during COVID after reversing my own diagnoses of post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, and borderline personality disorder, BPD. So my approach, it combines counseling, coaching, and mentoring to offer a comprehensive and transformative service. My clients have shown significant improvement in areas such as emotional regulation, self-awareness, overall happiness, and with many overcoming chronic pain, anxiety, insomnia, anger, addiction, relationship problems, and more. Now, before I explain more about my model, I'd like to first, for some context, introduce myself a little bit more and how I got here. So I was a patient in the mental health system for over a decade. As a child, I struggled with some traumas, depression, a whole bunch of bulimia and self-harming, and I went through a lot of sexual abuse. Now, all of this culminated in me in my early 20s to being groomed, drugged, and held captive by a very, very disturbed man. I escaped, and I was diagnosed with PTSD and BPD. Today, it would probably be diagnosed as complex PTSD. Traditional therapy, treatment programs, and meds didn't help too much. I had one coach, and she helped a lot, and I'm still in touch with her, and I love her. But I continued with therapy and meds, and I was also a high-functioning alcoholic. I was self-medicating because nothing else was really helping. But by age 28, I was depressed, divorced, drunk, and practically dying. I was essentially killing myself. I was collapsing on my kitchen floor from my daily solo binge drinking sessions. I would wake up in the mornings relieved that I woke up because I was worried that I would die from alcohol poisoning in the night. I was in a really, really, really bad place. So I was just kind of existing at rock bottom. But I was also very good at hiding it. My loved ones didn't really know too much about what was going on. I had a very good mask, but the mask was cracking. I kept everything inside, really behind closed doors, but I was really, really struggling. I hated myself and I was just miserable. And so at 28, I said, fuck this. I cannot continue like this. It terrified me more to continue living this way, because I really felt that I wasn't going to live much longer if I continued on like that. And so I took matters into my own hands, and I decided I was going to live and I was going to heal myself and fulfill my potential that I really felt was in there and trapped inside. And I did. I got sober, I came off my meds, I went back to university, and then I founded my model, MTM. So I reverse engineered my success. I analyzed the self-help, self-development, self-healing industry that I'd really taken a deep dive into, and everything that I was learning and that I'd found to be universally effective, not just for me, but for others as well. I really went deep into the self-development world, and I summarized all the highlights of the thought leaders and the gurus, and I condensed everything into a working model that I could use over and over again, rinse and repeat for myself, and then eventually for my clients too. So my model was also a direct response to my experience in the mainstream medical health system. My main criticism with meds was that they just suppress the symptoms as opposed to address them. And today I know that symptoms need to be seen and heard, not ignored and suppressed. My main criticisms of therapy was that not one shrink ever told me that I could heal myself. Not one shrink ever told me I could reverse my diagnoses or significantly reduce my symptoms to the point of what would be considered normal. I felt desperate, I felt hopeless, I felt dependent and very disempowered. Therapy was very much a lifeline. I'm not here to bash traditional therapy, but I felt like I wouldn't know what to do with myself if I didn't have that therapist, and that was very disempowering. I had given away all of my power to someone else. I also felt unequal and inferior, having to bare my soul and be very, very vulnerable and open and trusting, and then get nothing really in return. It was not a two-way street. It's not a equal dynamic. And therapists have very strict boundaries, and that is very understandable and very needed in specific situations with specific demographics. But there's a huge demographic that of high functioning, high achieving individuals like me who are seeking connection, safety, and real trust. And you can't do that with a one-way dynamic. Feeling unequal and unfair and inferior did not help me. It kept me stuck in my victimhood. And perhaps the biggest criticism I had with traditional therapy was that some things you just cannot learn from textbooks and exams. Lived experience is unparalleled. Like if you haven't been there, you don't really know what it's like to be there, right? And I don't know how many of my shrinks, if any, had ever been through prolonged sexual and psychological abuse, nor if any of them had successfully reversed or significantly reduced their diagnoses and their symptoms for themselves. So I'm not saying that there aren't shrinks out there that have, or that are gifted and able to help without lived experience to some extent, but what I realized that I can offer my clients is something that most shrinks can't, which is true empathy and understanding. Like, I get it. I have been there. And my approach focuses on educating, empowering, and equipping my clients because we can heal ourselves and we are far more capable than we are led to believe. So this now leads me to explain a little bit more about MTM. So when you've been through trauma and you've experienced trauma and you are a victim to trauma, you feel unsafe, you feel helpless, you feel desperate, powerless, out of control, lacking control, weak, and MTM fundamentally helps address that. It gives you back your power. It's a framework that helps you navigate trauma and life's curveballs and challenges so that you never have to feel that helpless ever again. When shit hits the fan, you will know what to do. It's a framework, and it is made up of a 2-layered matrix. So the first piece of it is like this. I did like an ad hoc content analysis. I conducted on the self-development, psychology, and coaching industries, and I found that there are 4 main pillars of self-development, of self-healing, of self-actualization. That there are 4 main themes that I found. I call them the 4 C's: curiosity, conditions, conditioning, and commitment. And these 4 pillars sat very nicely on top of my simplified 4-step strategy to problem solving that I adapted from the consulting world. So a bit about that. As an organizational consultant, I learned that psychology was applied to business way back in the early 1900s. And since then, in the world of business, in this capitalist society that we live in, problem solving within companies was a heavily invested in area. Obviously, because companies want to solve their problems so that they can make more money, and making money is top priority in our society. So the problem-solving model from the business world the organizational psychology, right? It's really, really good. It's a very good, efficient, effective problem-solving model. And I was just like, hold that fucking phone. Why don't we adapt that back to normal psychology, individual, personal psychology, and our mental health? Because this is an organization, right? This is a system made up of all these different departments and the different things moving and different parts happening. And so that's essentially what I've done. And the 4 steps of the model, I've summarized it into this 4-step strategy. It's not 4 steps in consulting world, but I've simplified it, summarized it down so that it can be really smart, simple, and applied to the individual. So if the company's ultimate goal is to make money, what is ours? To be happy, healthy, and to fulfill our potential, right? AKA self-actualization. So there is so much untapped potential in all of us, and being able to educate ourselves and really learn how this system works will help us tap into that potential. Like if you see yourself as a business and your business isn't functioning very well, it's not earning very well, it's not succeeding, it's struggling, there are departments that aren't functioning very well, what would you do if it were a business? Would you just sit back and say, well, it is what it is and I'll just go bankrupt and shut down, like it's gone to shit, I give up? Or would you say, I'm the fucking boss of this business and I'm going to learn what to do and I'm going to do it better and I'm going to succeed? So you are the boss and you are the boss of you and this is your business, and you do get to step up to the plate and become that boss and take responsibility and say, I'm not going to be a victim. I'm not going to be disempowered anymore. I'm going to take matters into my own hands and I'm going to own my shit and I'm going to make this business a fucking success. And treat it as such. Treat it as a business that you can learn what the different departments needs and who you can hire in order to help develop, reconstruct, reconfigure, rebuild a department if you want, or do it yourself, whatever, right? But you are the boss, you are in charge, and you are making educated decisions. And if you don't know what needs work and where to start, then you hire a consultant. And a consultant is going to give you a diagnostic report of what's actually the problem, what the root causes of your issues, and how to fix them. But they treat you as the boss that you are. You are the one in control. You're equal. You are human. You are capable, and you are so full of potential. You just got to believe it and see it, right? You're the one that has the power. And that really helps us when we have this kind of reframe. That really helps us with the trauma piece and the healing of it. Like if you were to go to a doctor or a psychiatrist and say, these are my issues, then they give you meds to suppress the symptoms. And it's literally like telling the boss of a business to just stop speaking to that department, ignore them, pretend the problems aren't there. Doesn't really make sense. And a therapist would be like sitting with the boss of the business and talking about the shit job that a department's doing and not even knowing which department it is and hoping that the guiding questions will help the boss figure out where the root cause might be or not. But venting always makes us feel better, doesn't it? But it still doesn't actually solve the problem, or rarely does, right? So this is, of course, way oversimplified and overgeneralized and may ruffle some feathers, I know, but this was based on my experience, and I've had dozens of shrinks. And those of you with awesome shrinks who've truly helped you heal, I'm genuinely happy for you, and that is awesome. And yes, they do exist, and I know that. And the shrinks who've also started learning and adding to their toolbox and to the work that they do, good. I'm really, really glad. And I know that that is also happening. But I also really do urge all of you to go and watch the documentary on Netflix called Stutz. It really validates my stance here, and that's coming from a renowned shrink. So, okay. Based on also what we now know, all of these different fields that are developing, like neuroplasticity, so we know that we can rewire our brain. We know we can recondition ourselves. Metacognition is the idea of thinking about our thinking, very much an influence of the model too. And much like functional medicine, we get to the root cause when it comes to analyzing the symptoms that you're struggling with and that that you have in your lives that are making your lives really difficult. So that's what this model really does and how we approach things. So my model takes things to the next level. It's MetaTherapy. It holds space and allows for the counseling piece and talking through the problems, but then it also coaches you through getting from A to B And then it also goes that one step further, which is teaching you how to go from B to C to D all the way to Z for life. And now, that's my model in a nutshell. Enough my top tip. As I said, I'm going to ask all of my guests to share a tip or an exercise at the end of the episode. And there is something that I would like to share with you. I do sprinkle like some tips and anecdotes throughout my guest interviews too. But for now, for this first episode, what I would deem the most important thing that I would want to share, I really had to think about this. But at the end of the day, it would be this. The idea that you are stuck inside yourself forever. You're stuck with you, but you're stuck in here forever. You might as well make it a nice place to be, right? I think when I started realizing how my self-talk was, it was self-abusive. I was horrified. And so many people come to me with very negative self-talk and self-perception. And I think that really focusing on making our inner world, our inner experience, a better one is so important. It is crucial, really. It is, at the end of the day, the relationship that you have with yourself is the most important one that you have. Like, you are never going to leave you. You are not going anywhere. You are stuck with you forever. So you might as well commit to this relationship and really make it an awesome one. Getting to know yourself, your values, your triggers, your passions, getting to understand yourself deeply. It is the best and the biggest gift you can give to yourself and to the world, and to the people that you love and care about, and to the people that you will love and who will love you in the future. It is the best thing you can do. If you can commit to becoming the best, happiest, healthiest version of yourself, that is literally the most selfless thing that you could do. It is the most thoughtful and caring and loving and considerate thing you could do for someone else, for others, for those around you, for your environment, for your community. Like, prioritizing yourself, therefore, is really not selfish. It is selfless. Meeting your own needs, learning how to meet your own needs, making yourself happy, because it's genuinely no one else's responsibility to do that. And figuring out what lights you the fuck up and what you want to do with your life so that you can make your mark and make a difference and contribute and make the world a better place somehow. That is the most important thing that you can do. We are all gifted. We're all innately worthy, and we all have something to give. We all have a purpose, and we really need purpose. I cannot stress this enough. We are literally in a crisis of identity and meaning in the world, and it's just staring at, like, screaming at us in our face how much people are searching for purpose and meaning. And yeah, so just, it really starts with healing yourself, so that you can then be a better parent, a better partner, a better sibling, a better friend, a better service provider, a better employer, a better employee, better citizen, whatever. At the end of the day, we also just really want to feel good, and we deserve to, right? So focus on you, on what you can control. Fulfill your potential and self-actualize. It is at the top of Maslow's pyramid hierarchy of needs, right? At the top, at the pinnacle of his pyramid, is self-actualization. That is the goal and always has been. So that's my tip. Go for it. If you need help, you know where to find me. And this podcast is going to introduce to you a whole bunch of awesome modalities and practices and practitioners that hopefully will help you find what works for you. So that is it. That is it for now. I'm going to keep it short and sweet for this first episode. So thank you for listening in, and I hope you found it helpful and insightful and informative and hopefully inspiring too. And I will be asking this at the end of every episode. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love it if you would subscribe, rate, and review it on your favorite podcast platform, or whatever platform it is that you're watching or listening here. It will really help my work and my guests' work get out there to more people, and it might just help someone change their life. And that's a really awesome thing to be a part of. So we're all here on the same mission, helping people heal, helping people know better, be better, feel better, helping the world heal, even if it is just one person at a time. It's a really big mission, but it's a fucking important one and a worthy one. So it really does mean a lot to me if you can help me support this project. Thank you. I'd also love to hear from you. I'm going to ask this as well at the end of every episode. I would love to hear your biggest takeaway from today. So that's it. Stay curious, stay informed, and stay tuned for more episodes coming your way. Lots of love, everyone. Bye.